I told you that one of the most common autumn gardening tasks is actually an act of sabotage against your future harvest? Yes, that's right, the very same digging or tilling that our grandparents and parents swore by. Today, we'll uncover why tilling your soil in September is essentially destroying its fertility. And I promise, after this, you'll look at your shovel in a completely different light. The tradition of fall tilling has deep roots in the past. Back then, it was a practical way to combat weeds and pests, especially on heavy, unworked soils. The belief was that the frost would break up the soil clods, and pests would simply freeze out. It was a necessity of its time. But today, with our much deeper understanding of soil, this method looks less like gardening and more like open heart surgery with an axe. Soil isn't just dirt, it's a living organism. And now we're going to dive into this complex, microscopic world to see it all for ourselves. Let's start with the absolute basics, the fundamental truth. The first and perhaps most critical mistake of fall tilling is the complete destruction of soil structure. Imagine healthy, living soil. It's not just a random collection of mineral particles. No, it's an incredibly complex, multi-layered dwelling, intricately designed by nature itself. Within it are millions of microscopic channels and pores, painstakingly crafted over years by plant roots, earthworms, and countless microorganisms. This entire structure functions much like a sponge. It's precisely what allows the soil to breathe, taking in oxygen, and to drink, storing vital rainwater. Now picture a shovel's blade tearing into this perfectly ordered world. Every flip of a clod of earth is nothing short of an earthquake for the soil's delicate ecosystem. We sever those vital capillaries, collapse tunnels, and rip apart all connections. Instead of a living, breathing sponge, what we're left with is a formless, dense mass. All this complex architecture, meticulously built by nature over years, crumbles in a single day. Come spring, after the rains, this kind of disrupted soil transforms into a dense, impenetrable crust. A crust so hard that even resilient weeds struggle to pierce it, let alone your delicate, cultivated plants. Now let's take a closer look and delve into the intricate world beneath our feet. In the top 10 to 15 centimetres of soil, where air is abundant, life absolutely thrives. This is home to aerobic bacteria. Remember the word aero. It means air. Oxygen is absolutely vital for these microscopic powerhouses. They are the true chefs for our plants, tirelessly breaking down all organic matter, fallen leaves, dead roots, into easily accessible nutrients. They are the architects of fertile soil. But deeper down, where oxygen barely penetrates, live their counterparts, anaerobic bacteria. For them, oxygen is, on the contrary, a deadly poison, and they perform their own unique functions in these oxygen-deprived layers. So what happens when we plunge a spade into the earth and turn over a sod? We trigger a genuine catastrophe. We bury our aerobic chefs alive, deep where they suffocate without air. And conversely, we expose the deep-dwelling anaerobes to the surface, where they perish from oxygen. Essentially, we are sterilising the soil with our own hands, orchestrating a wholesale destruction of its most vital inhabitants. Next up, who else do we inevitably expose on the surface after turning over the soil? That's right, our primary helpers, earthworms. These aren't just creatures living in the soil. They're the engineers and agronomists of our subterranean world. Each worm is a tiny factory, diligently producing vermicompost, the most valuable organic fertiliser available. As they process soil and organic matter, they enrich it with vital enzymes and beneficial nutrients. And their intricate tunnel systems, they're perfect for drainage and aeration, all created for us absolutely free of charge. They aerate the soil far more effectively and deeply than any spade, without disrupting its delicate structure. So what do we do during our autumn digging? We cruelly expose them to the surface. We destroy their intricate homes, their carefully constructed tunnels, and they, along with their precious cocoons, from which new generations of diligent workers were meant to emerge in spring, become easy prey for birds and perish with the first frosts. Every swing of that spade depletes the ranks of our free, tireless army of agronomists. This isn't just a mistake, it's an act of genuine ecological sabotage. Now let's talk about water, about the vital moisture without which plants simply cannot thrive. Healthy, undisturbed soil has an incredible property: capillarity. Remember how water naturally climbs up a thin tube? Soil works much the same way. Millions of microscopic channels, created by roots and earthworms, form a unified network. Through this network, moisture from deeper soil layers is drawn upwards, directly to the plant roots. It's nature's own automatic watering system, a natural irrigation that rescues our plants during dry spells. This system acts just like the wick in an oil lamp, constantly feeding moisture to the topsoil. But what happens when we dig up or till the soil? We break these capillaries. We sever this wick. The entire natural water supply system is destroyed, and in spring, even after heavy rains, the topsoil will dry out much faster because moisture from below can no longer rise. Ultimately, we create our own problem, condemning our plants to constant thirst and ourselves to endless watering with a can or a hose. We waste water, time, and effort trying to fix something we ourselves broke. But here's the truly ironic twist. Why do most people dig up their gardens anyway? To get rid of weeds, of course. The common wisdom is that by turning over the soil, we bury weed seeds deep down where they can't sprout. Sounds logical, right? But in reality, it's precisely the opposite. Deep within every cubic centimetre of soil, especially the deeper layers, lies a massive seed bank of weeds. These seeds can lie dormant for decades, just waiting for their moment. They're like ticking time bombs. When we perform deep digging, we're essentially acting like a plough, bringing those dormant seeds up from the darkness to the light, warmth and moisture. We're creating the perfect conditions for them to sprout. In essence, we're actively seeding our garden with weeds for the following year. And come spring, we wonder, where did all these weeds come from? Well, that's our very own harvest, the one we so diligently sowed last fall with our trusty shovel. Instead of fighting weeds, we're actually helping them thrive, all while expending our own energy. Quite the paradox, wouldn't you say? The next crucial element we're destroying is humus. Humus, or organic matter, is the black gold of the soil. It's the very essence of soil fertility. Think of it as a pantry, storing all the essential nutrients plants need. In nature, whether in a forest or a meadow, organic matter, fallen leaves, dead grass, decomposes slowly on the surface. This gradual process ensures nutrients are released in a measured way, precisely when plants need them. So, what happens when we start tilling the soil? We take this vital organic matter, which should be slowly breaking down on the surface, and bury it deep underground, simultaneously infusing the soil with oxygen. It's akin to stoking a fire and opening the air intake to full. This kickstarts an intense oxidation process, or, to put it simply, the burning of humus. The fertile topsoil literally burns away before our eyes, transforming into carbon dioxide that escapes into the atmosphere. With each year of this kind of treatment, the fertile layer grows thinner, and the soil becomes increasingly impoverished. We are rapidly depleting the nutrient reserves that nature has meticulously built up over countless years. Let's picture what happens to a freshly tilled garden plot in winter. The bare, loosened soil is utterly defenceless against the elements. It no longer has its natural, protective layer of grass or fallen leaves. This is where erosion begins its relentless work. First, the wind arrives. It swirls across the open ground, and like a powerful vacuum, it blows away the tiniest, lightest, and most importantly, the most fertile soil particles. The very humus we've just been discussing. This is known as wind erosion. Over the winter, several centimetres of this precious topsoil can be carried away from your plot. Then comes spring, bringing its meltwater. The water, unimpeded, rushes freely across the surface of the disturbed soil, washing away any remaining nutrients and carrying them straight into the nearest ditch. This, then, is water erosion. Instead of accumulating moisture and fertility, our garden rapidly loses both. We are, in essence, creating a desert on our own plot, leaving it bare and vulnerable to the ravages of wind and water. Many who advocate for deep tilling or digging their gardens subscribe to what I call the frost-shattering myth. They claim, "I'll leave the soil in big chunks, and the winter freeze will break them apart, making the soil light and airy in spring." More often than not, the reality is quite different. This method might yield results only on extremely heavy, dense clay soils, and even then, it's far from a sure thing. In the vast majority of cases, however, the opposite is true. When soil is turned over, losing its natural structure and vital capillary system, it often transforms by spring into a dense, waterlogged, impenetrable mass. After the snow melts and spring rains pass, this soil compacts and dries out, forming a rock-hard crust on the surface, almost like concrete. Tender young seedlings simply can't penetrate this hardened surface. They lack the necessary strength or vigour. Ultimately, this leads to poor germination, stunted and weak plants, and, as a predictable consequence, a significantly reduced yield. Instead of the promised loose, airy soil, we end up with a concrete-like slab that demands constant battle all summer long, requiring endless hoeing and cultivation. Now let's delve into an invisible world, the hidden ally of plants, mycelium. Mycelium is, in essence, the vegetative body of a fungus, an incredibly fine, vast network of threads that permeates all healthy soil. This network forms a symbiotic relationship with the roots of most plants, a partnership known as mycorrhiza. So how does it work? This fungal network, vastly thinner and more extensive than plant roots, penetrates where roots cannot reach, sourcing water and essential, often hard-to-reach nutrients like phosphorus for the plant. In return, the plant provides the fungus with life-giving sugars generated through photosynthesis. It's a truly mutually beneficial partnership. This subterranean web not only nourishes but also actively protects plants from diseases. But what happens when we introduce a shovel? It acts like a giant knife, slicing and dicing this vital, living network into tiny, non-viable fragments. We essentially sever this underground internet, stripping our future plants of their most crucial ally. Rebuilding such a network takes an incredibly long time. Every time we dig, we take a significant step backward in cultivating a healthy and robust garden ecosystem. So, what should we do instead of digging? How do we properly prepare our garden for winter? Nature itself provides the perfect answer. Just look at a forest or an untouched meadow. No one ever digs there, yet the soil consistently remains loose, moist, and incredibly fertile. What's their secret? It's all about constant coverage. Nature never leaves the soil bare. In autumn, it covers the ground with a thick blanket of fallen leaves and dead grass. This, in essence, is what we call mulch. Our task is simply to copy this wise technique. Instead of reaching for a shovel, grab your rake and wheelbarrow. Cover your garden beds with anything you have available: grass clippings, straw, fallen leaves from healthy trees, shredded branches, and compost. This layer of mulch, like a cozy blanket, will protect your soil through winter from freezing, wind, and erosion. And come spring, this mulch will become a feast for our friends, earthworms and beneficial soil microorganisms, who will tirelessly work to transform it into invaluable humus. Here's another fantastic way to not just protect, but actively enhance your soil in the fall. It's called planting cover crops. Cover crops are essentially green fertilizers, plants you grow not for a harvest, but specifically to benefit the soil itself. After your main crops are harvested, typically in late August or September, simply sow those empty garden beds with plants like mustard, phacelia, rye, oats, or veg. These plants develop powerful root systems that penetrate deep into the soil, loosening and structuring it far more effectively than any shovel or spade could. They work gently yet effectively, creating those crucial channels that allow water and air to permeate the soil. And their green foliage, which you can either leave to decompose over winter under the snow, or cut down and use as mulch, becomes an excellent source of organic matter. Cover crops also suppress weed growth, protect the soil from erosion, and enrich it with valuable nitrogen and other essential nutrients. It's a simple, inexpensive, and incredibly effective way to boost soil fertility without backbreaking physical labour. Let's look at a truly obvious benefit. By saying goodbye to that often pointless and frankly damaging practice of full tilling, you instantly save a tremendous amount of your most valuable resources, your time and your energy. Just think about it. How many precious hours, even entire weekends, have you dedicated to that back-breaking, monotonous chore, bent over a shovel? All that time could have been spent with family, pursuing a favourite hobby, or simply relaxing at your country retreat, truly soaking in the beauty of autumn. Transitioning to natural gardening methods isn't just about caring for your soil, it's profoundly about caring for your own health. Your time in the garden stops being a grueling burden and transforms into a light, enjoyable, and genuinely creative pursuit. You expend less effort, yet you achieve far superior results. And that, in a nutshell, is the definition of a truly smart garden. Ultimately, the most profound philosophical insight. By choosing not to dig, you fundamentally shift your entire relationship with the earth. You cease to be a conqueror, no longer trying to forcefully subdue nature, break its spirit, and bend it to your will. Instead, you become its partner and ally. You begin to understand the intricate processes happening within the soil, and you learn to work in harmony with them. You don't destroy, you create. You're not fighting against nature, you're collaborating with it. You help the soil become healthier, stronger, and more fertile, and in gratitude, it blesses you with a generous and, most importantly, environmentally friendly harvest. This is more than just a gardening technique. It's an investment in the future of your garden, the health of your family, and the very preservation of our planet. And here's the big revelation. For decades, we've seen autumn tilling as an act of caring for our soil. We'd spend hours bending our backs, convinced we were doing good. But in reality, we were waging war against the very life beneath our feet. We were destroying homes for microorganisms, tearing apart vital mycelial networks, and condemning earthworms to death. Our hardest autumn chore wasn't just pointless, it was actively harmful. Realising this changes everything. It turns out the best way to help your garden is to leave it undisturbed, simply giving nature a little boost by covering the soil with organic matter. In this case, the lazy gardener is actually the wisest one. So, the main takeaway is simple. Don't dig your soil in the fall. Instead, mulch, sow cover crops, and let nature do its work. This way, you'll preserve and enhance soil fertility, save your energy, and enjoy an abundant harvest next year. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. If you found it helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes. Now, a question for you. Do you still dig up your garden in the fall? Or have you already joined the ranks of the lazy yet wise gardeners? Share your experience in the comments below. Let's discuss.